Alrighty, hey, thanks for tuning in. This is my third throwback video of the year, I'm pretty sure. The very first one was an international incident over boobs. The second one was the first time I remember as an adult my father being proud of me, and that kind of segues into this one. Today is going to be about Yuhi. He turns 19 on the 14th, which is, I think, Saturday. I'd love to use my calendar and double check that, but I'm doing these unscripted, unedited, off-the-cuff kind of deal, and plus, I can't access my calendar because I'm using my phone right now to record, so how's that for an excuse? Anyway, I was on the fence about doing one about Yuhi, because I want these to be something for my kids to look back on about my stories and my take on things, but also they are part of my story, so yeah, I gotta roll with that. That sounds like I'm disappointed, but I'm not. I'm just trying to think as I talk here, and that's not always the easiest thing to do. But anyway, I've got 3 quick stories about Yuhi, who again turns 19 on the 14th. I'm very proud of him. If you're watching this, Yuhi, you don't need to wait to the end of the video to hear that. I love you, and I'm going to embarrass you now with 3 stories. I'm going to tell everybody. First of all, his name. Y-U-H-I, Yuhi. I will get to the point where I edit these maybe and throw up spectacular graphics and transitions and all that crap, but that would take a little bit more pre-planning on my part, and I'm not sure if I'm up for that yet. Anyhow, Y-U-H-I, Yuhi, is how his name is pronounced, and I'll put the kanji down in my crotchal region, which will be your comments later. He couldn't pronounce his name at all when he was little. And my dad would give him hell. He would call him all kinds of things because my dad and most of his friends couldn't pronounce Yuhi's name either. They'd call him Yugu, Yuhu, Yeehaw. I know a lot of it was they were just making shit up, but they would just relentlessly torment him. And like I said, he couldn't say his name. So he was probably, let me turn off the heater here. He was probably, God, I don't know, 4, 5 maybe? He wasn't putting full sentences together completely and cognitively yet, but he was speaking. And Grandpa would be, yippee, come here, yoo-hoo, go get me that, or, you know, whatever, just messing his name up completely. And at that time, when you'd ask him, hey, what's your name? He would go, I'm Hee-Hee. And that's what he called himself. He would say, I'm Hee-Hee. Hi, I'm Hee-Hee. Hee-Hee, Hee-Hee. And Grandpa would give him shit and say, no, you're Yugu and stuff. But anyway, so one day he got tired of Grandpa's shit, and Grandpa was calling him names and stuff, and they were teasing each other. It wasn't like my dad was being mean to him. I mean, he was pushing it. He did that very well, but he was joking around because they were both laughing and giggling about it, and he would call him something too. I don't have a good example, but anyway. So one day, Yuhi goes up to Grandpa after Grandpa had mispronounced his name for the millionth time. And remember, he could not say his own name at this point. He poked Grandpa in the knee. Grandpa looks down. What? Yuhi's like, my name is Yuhi. And then he punched Grandpa in the knee and ran off laughing or something. It kind of reminded me of Eddie Murphy on Saturday Night Live, if you've ever seen that. I'm Gumby, damn it. I can't do accents or voices, but Google that. It's pretty funny. But yeah, and then even 6 months to a year after that, he still couldn't say his own name. But yeah, the second story about him, he's just an awesome kid. And I mean, he's not a kid anymore. He's 19 now. He's an adult. But we used to live over in Milliken in a place called Frank Farms, and there was a quarter-mile square little area that we lived in. Each side was a quarter mile. Don't make me do math in the morning. But at that time, there were not a lot of houses there, and the kids had full run of that area. And if they were going to go outside that area, they had to get permission. Well, one of them, Yuhi, or Hee as you like to be called, figured out that, hey, the convenience store gas station is right on the corner of that area. And so one day he asked for permission to go there with his friends, and he was obviously a lot older at that time, but 8, 9, 10. Again, there weren't many houses in the development at that time. 50 to 100 maybe. I mean, now it's probably double that, but pretty much knew everybody right around us and in strategic locations where he had friends and stuff. So they knew stay in that area. They didn't need permission to go from one house to the other, things like that. But he figured out the convenience store was right there. He asked for $10 to go buy stuff, and I gave it to him. He was with his brother and sister, so I figured they'd all share. And this right here is kind of a very good example of how he was as a kid. He came back, and he had like a piece of bubble gum. And I was like, dude, did you eat all your snacks? What the hell happened? And he's like, no, before we went to the convenience store, we stopped and we got Dylan, Nate, Natalie, I don't know who else it was, but just neighbor kids. And he went there, and he basically bought them all that they wanted and spent 50 cents on himself. And he's a very generous, kind soul. And he's been like that his entire life. And he's still like that. I don't know how to wrap that story up without saying that he's just a kind, generous kid. Not a kid anymore. But quick wrap up, because I don't want this to go too long. He was a phenomenal soccer player. He had played since he was, Pee-wees, which I think is like 4 or 5, and I coached until he got into school. His brother and sister played too, but Kai came to me after a couple seasons and said, hey, I don't want to play soccer, which is awesome. That's cool. And then Maya, bless her heart, Pee-wees, the field's about the size of this van, standard minivan, and the ball would come towards her, and she'd see a butterfly and just want to play with it. And she eventually played in school, but anyway, Yuhi played from the time he was 4 or 5. He played varsity freshman year in high school and kicked ass the entire time. In the beginning, I think freshman, he was playing varsity and JV because they needed people to flop back and forth. And he was on the pitch for 2 games every time they played for, I think, the first 2 years of his high school soccer career. He also played soccer in junior high. I don't want to forget that, or middle school, whatever the hell it's called now. But a really good thing that he learned while he was playing was leadership. And he would go back and teach the junior members, I guess. And he also helped out with the girls soccer team, which I'm hoping was because of his love of the game and not because of, hey, here's a bunch of teenage girls, because he's a teenage boy. And that was when he was in school. I'm not talking about now, so don't call the cops on him. But he would go back and help the previous year. Or, like I said, when boys soccer was over, he'd help girls soccer. And he learned that from his 2 coaches that were there for middle school. He did the same thing in high school. He ended up being captain the last 2 years. I know it was at least for the last year. And just a phenomenal player. He would lead from the team. He played defender, so he was back by the goal, by the post. And he would still tell people, hey, go here, go there, ball's coming, this kind of thing. And well respected by his teammates and coaches. He never really sat a game out, or even for like a minute or two. It seemed like he was always on the pitch. And there were times he got his ass handed to him. I mean, he got knocked over. The other player got red carded, yellow carded, whatever, and Yuhi would just kind of roll somersault and spring back up like Tigger. It was pretty amazing to watch. The very last game I saw him play was at home, and I think it was Fort Lupton. It was a team from out in the plains of Colorado, and they were primarily Hispanic, and that's an important thing, because when I would watch, that important part will come later, really soon here, I promise. But I would sit on the side of the field where he was at, because I didn't want to have to stare and miss it from on the other side of the field. So if home team was here on the pitch, I would be here. And when the field swapped, I would go to enemy territory, usually. And I would sit there with them to watch him play, because I wanted to be close and see it all. Well, this final game, like I said, was against, I'm pretty sure, Fort Lupton. And there were a lot of people in the stands that were speaking Spanish. And I don't know enough Spanish, any much more than to get slapped in it, which is not a good thing, but, you know, that's how it is. And these two ladies were sitting behind me, these two older, like, grandma ladies. And every time the ball came down towards Yuhi, I would hear them say something, something El Diablo. And I had to Google this one. Sorry. And I don't remember what the word was, but they would call him the Wall, W-A-L-L, the Wall. And it was pretty awesome. I always heard his name during games. God, every 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I mean, sometimes more often, especially when he made a spectacular play, which was quite often. You know, look at what Yuhi did. Go Yuhi, run Yuhi. Did you see what he did? You know, that kind of stuff, just on and on and on. And I'll be honest, I was kind of heartbroken when he decided not to pursue it after high school, because he could have gone on and played for the academy, a college team somewhere else, or hell, even maybe gone pro back in Japan. I don't know, because it didn't happen, and I respect his decision to not play anymore. But, oh man, he was awesome watching him play, and he put his heart and soul into that. And he's done that in every other aspect of his life. He's very well balanced. I have no doubt in my mind you could drop him anywhere in the world, and within a couple weeks he'd have a job, a place to stay, and a group of friends, or I guess acquaintances, because it takes a while to build friendships. But he's an amazing kid, young adult now, and he's done spectacular academically. Work-wise, he was promoted to management before he was 18, which, you know, it was more like a paper promotion. But then as soon as he turned 18, here's the keys, here's your official title, here's your pay raise. He's making good money, he's taking care of himself. I rarely see him anymore. His car's at the house sometimes, and other times it's not, and that does not denote him being there. It's just, you know, it is what it is. That's part about life. You put time, effort, and energy into your little ones and hope they get the hell out of the house. And then when that's happening, it sucks. It sucks. But he's doing good. He's awesome. I love him very much. Yuhi, keep rocking it, man. I love you. For everybody watching this, thank you too. I appreciate you jumping into my melon and listening to my verbal diarrhea. Like I said, I think I said it. Maybe I thought it, but last week, 20 people watched, or at least admitted they watched by clicking like and or making comments. I love that interaction. The past 2 plague years, you know, I became even more withdrawn from a lot of people, and I'm still kind of that way. So it's that interaction. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Only 90,880 to go before I'm an influencer. And we really, really don't want that. So let's keep the numbers down here where they're at. Nice and personal and intimate. Kind of like when a famous rock band plays a small dive bar or something. Well, we can call this Dave's Dive Bar. But anyway, it's almost Friday here in the States. It's Thursday morning, and my steering wheel just fell. Hey, there we go. Alrighty. But thank you again for listening. I appreciate it. I love you all. Have a great day. Have a great week. Find love. Be happy. Pursue your dreams. And life is short, man. Enjoy it while you can, because it's over before you know it. I love you, and I'm going to push the stop button because the train just went right off the rails, and I'm not sure where I'm going with it. So take care. Love you. Bye.